The cold case solved by one overlooked detail. For more than 30 years, this case had no ending. No arrest, no confession, no answers. Just a name on a file, and a family left with questions. Investigators searched, they interviewed, they followed every lead, and still nothing. Until one small detail, ignored for decades, changed everything. Not a confession, not a witness, just one piece of the puzzle no one thought mattered. This is the cold case that was never supposed to be solved. It began on an ordinary evening, a familiar routine, a short trip, a promise to return soon. But the person never came back. Hours passed, then a night, then a day. When concern turned into fear, the police were called. At first, nothing seemed wrong. No signs of struggle, no forced entry, no evidence of violence. Just a life that had stopped. Friends said there were no problems. The family said there were no warnings. Co-workers said everything had been normal. The disappearance made no sense. And when something makes no sense, it becomes a mystery. Police searched streets, fields, and buildings. They checked phone records, bank activity, and transportation routes. But the trail went cold almost immediately. No sightings, no physical evidence, no suspect. It was as if the person had vanished. As weeks passed, the case slowed. Not because it wasn't important, but because there was nothing left to chase. The file was placed on a shelf, not solved, not closed, just waiting. For the family, time stood still. Birthdays passed, holidays felt empty. Years carried the same question: what happened? They searched on their own, followed rumors, held on to hope. The world moved forward. They could not. Decades later, the case was almost forgotten. Almost. A new investigator reviewed old files, looking for cases that never had real endings. When they opened this one, something felt off. Not because of what was there, but because of what wasn't. The evidence was thin. The timeline is unclear. Too many assumptions had never been questioned. So the investigators started over, from the beginning. They rebuilt the final day, minute by minute, every movement, every interaction. And then they saw it. A single detail in the report. A timestamp. According to the file, a key event happened at a certain time. But when compared with phone data, travel records, and surveillance, it didn't match. Not by much, just enough. Enough to mean that one person's statement could not be true. At first, it looked like a typo, a simple mistake. But the deeper they looked, the more the timeline fell apart. Movements that shouldn't overlap did. Locations once thought impossible were suddenly connected. That tiny detail changed the order of events. And when the order changes, so does the story. The investigator rebuilt everything using proof, not memory. Calls, receipts, cameras, travel data. And one person, once considered helpful, now stood out. Not because of what they did, but because of what they claimed. Their story placed them in two places at once. For years, no one had noticed, because no one had ever checked. Police quietly reopened the case. No headlines, no announcements, just old names called back in. The questions were different this time. Not, what did you see? But, how could you be there and also here? At first, the answers were calm, familiar. But when faced with the new timeline, something changed. Silence. then hesitation, then a moment where the story no longer fits. That was all it took. One contradiction, because in a case with no evidence, even one truth matters. Investigators followed that single inconsistency. It led to a place once searched, but never thoroughly. A connection once mentioned, but never explored. And there was the missing piece. Not dramatic, not obvious, but real. The kind of evidence that doesn't make headlines, but changes everything. The truth didn't come from a confession. It came from proof. From the slow collapse of a story believed for decades. What was once an unsolvable mystery was no longer a mystery at all. Just a sequence of events, hidden, misunderstood, and overlooked. All because of one detail, written down and forgotten. When the family was told, there were no cheers, no celebration, only quiet. Because answers don't erase loss. They don't bring back what was taken, but they end the waiting. They closed the question that lived in the heart for years. They allow the past to finally have a shape. This case wasn't solved by luck, not by confession, not by a dramatic tip. It was solved by attention, by someone willing to ask, what if we were wrong? Because time doesn't destroy the truth. It only buries it in files, in reports, in details too small to matter, until someone looks again. Every cold case holds more than silence. It holds a story waiting to be understood, a name waiting to be remembered, a truth waiting to be seen. Some mysteries don't disappear because they're unsolvable. They disappear because no one was looking closely enough. Every case leaves a shadow. Every mystery deserves a voice. This is Shadow Case File.